These sounds had been heard by humans for centuries, without anyone knowing their meaning. We thought it was just the noise of the ocean. It turned out it was a language, a complex system of communication of the ocean giants, which artificial intelligence has just decoded. What you just heard are the first words in the language of sperm whales, which we have finally learned to understand. To grasp the scale of this breakthrough, imagine this. You come to a theater, take your seat, the lights go out, the curtain rises, and the actors on stage begin to speak in a completely unfamiliar language. You hear the tone, you see the emotions, you understand that something important is happening, but the meaning completely escapes you. That is exactly how humanity has been listening to the ocean for millions of years. Until the 1,970 seconds, the sounds of whales seemed to sailors like mystical voices from the depths of the sea, beautiful, mysterious, but completely incomprehensible. In the 19th century, whalers hunted sperm whales for the oil used in lamps, without even suspecting that they were killing amazing creatures capable of complex communication. It turns out that sperm whales are the loudest animals on the planet. Their clicks can reach 200 decibels, much louder than a rock concert or the roar of a jet taking off. But until recently, no one even knew they made sounds at all. Everything changed in the early 1,970 seconds when marine biologist Roger Payne made a discovery that shocked the world. He recorded the songs of humpback whales and released the album Time's Songs of the Humpback Whale **. This album became a cultural phenomenon. People heard that whales sing multi-hour compositions, complex and emotional, changing over time like living music. The public's reaction was instant and powerful. The Save the Whales movement began, leading to the passing of the Marine Mammal Protection Act in the USA and saving several whale species from complete extinction. All this happened simply because people heard their voices. Roger Payne would later say, "I realized that people fell in love with the sounds of whales. Imagine what will happen when we understand what they are saying." But at that time, no one had any idea what these loud sounds meant. Scientists made guesses. Maybe they were mating songs, alarm calls, simple signals about food and danger. Technology was primitive, the recordings were short and low quality, and most importantly, there was no context. We were listening to separate phrases without knowing the situations in which they were spoken. The problem went deeper than just technical limits. We tried to understand whales through the filter of human logic. But what if their way of communicating is completely different from ours? What if we had no idea what these ocean giants were truly capable of? In 2017, at Harvard University, a meeting took place that changed everything. Marine biologist David Gruber was studying recordings of sperm whales. From the next office, cryptographer Shafi Goldwasser, a Turing Award winner, heard the clicking sounds. They reminded her of Morse code. Goldwasser suggested using machine learning methods to decode the sounds. She introduced David to Michael Bronstein, an artificial intelligence specialist from Oxford who was working on early versions of large language models. Bronstein explained a key principle. To understand any language, AI needs huge amounts of data. If these technologies were applied to whales, it would require billions of recordings of their sounds with full context. At first, it seemed impossible, but Gruber realized this was exactly what they had to do. Gruber had another idea that at first seemed crazy. He worked with the SETI project, the search for signals from extraterrestrial civilizations. For decades, astronomers have scanned the cosmos, hoping to catch a message from aliens. But what if we are looking in the wrong place? What if there are intelligent beings living here on Earth alongside us, and we could establish contact with them? Sperm whales have the largest brain of any animal, on average 7-9 kilograms, which is 6 times heavier than a human brain. They live in complex social groups, pass down knowledge from generation to generation, and have cultural traditions. If we ever receive a signal from an extraterrestrial civilization, we will need technology to decode it. So why not practice on whales? In 2019, these 3 scientists returned to Harvard for a 2-day seminar. Biologists, roboticists, linguists, and machine learning specialists from all over the world attended. By the end of the second day, everyone realized decoding the language of sperm whales was actually possible. So in 2020, Project CETI, the Cetacean Translation Initiative, was born. The TED Audacious project allocated $33 million for 5 years of research. The team included 50 leading scientists from 15 institutions around the world: MIT, Harvard, Oxford, Berkeley, the National Geographic Society, and more. Gruber assembled a unique team: Daniela Roos, director of MIT's Artificial Intelligence Laboratory; Shane Giro, a marine biologist who had spent 15 years studying the same families of sperm whales off the coast of Dominica; Robert Wood, a Harvard pioneer in soft robotics; and many others. They chose the Caribbean island of Dominica for the experiment. The location is unique. Volcanic slopes drop into the ocean so steeply that deep-sea waters begin just hundreds of meters from shore. Sperm whales can approach very close to land, making them accessible for observation. Most importantly, the same families return here year after year. The team transformed a section of ocean near Dominica into a giant underwater recording studio. A system of dozens of hydrophones operates around the clock, creating an acoustic map of this area in real time. When a sperm whale makes a series of clicks, the system instantly identifies exactly which whale in the pod is speaking. But sound recordings are only part of the puzzle. To understand a language, you need context: who is speaking to whom, in what situation, and what emotions are involved. This is where robots come in. Project CD created a fleet of autonomous drones that follow whales and gently attach biosensor tags to their backs. The team studied how marine animals naturally attach themselves to others in the wild and developed bio-inspired mounts so delicate that whales barely notice them. These tags are technological marvels. They record not only sounds, but also the whale's three-dimensional movements: dive, depth, heart rate, and precise information about which other animals it is interacting with at every moment. Each tag can function for up to 3 days. But how do you find a whale in the vast ocean? Sperm whales spend only 10 minutes of each hour at the surface, spending the rest diving to depths of up to 1.5 kilometers in search of squid. In 2024, Project CETI unveiled a revolutionary system called Avatar's AI-powered drones that learn to predict whale behavior. The drones pick up signals from tags on whales and determine their exact location with incredible accuracy. A machine learning algorithm analyzes the whale's behavioral patterns: how long it dives, which direction it moves underwater, what sounds it makes, and predicts its next surfacing location. The accuracy is astonishing. In 80% of cases, the drone is in the right place exactly when the whale surfaces, even if it's hundreds of meters from its dive point. Over 5 years, Project CETI has built the largest library of marine mammal sounds in history, billions of individual sperm whale clicks with complete behavioral context. But the sheer volume of data presented a new challenge. The human brain is physically incapable of processing such a massive dataset. This is where the true magic of artificial intelligence begins. All sounds are transformed into spectrograms, visual maps, where each click becomes a colorful pattern on the screen. AI can see sound and detect patterns beyond human perception. Neural networks were trained on billions of examples, gradually identifying structure in what once seemed like chaos. The results exceeded all expectations. What we once thought were random clicks turned out to be a highly organized communication system. Sperm whales use codas, short rhythmic sequences of clicks that function like words in human language. Each coda consists of a specific number of clicks with precise intervals between them. For example, a common coda among Caribbean sperm whales is 1 + 1 + 3. One click, pause. Another click, pause, then 3 quick clicks in a row. In May 2024, the Project CD team published a groundbreaking study in Times Nature Communications**, analyzing 8,719 codes recorded off the coast of Dominica. The AI identified 156 distinct basic patterns. But that was only the foundation. Each code can vary across several parameters, creating an enormous number of unique words. The first layer is speed. The same code can be delivered slowly or quickly, and its meaning changes accordingly. The second layer is additional clicks at the beginning or end, like suffixes in our words. The third layer turned out to be the most surprising. Whales can slightly stretch or speed up the pauses between clicks, just as we change our intonation to express emotions. The fourth layer is subtle timing differences that function like vowel sounds in human speech. Whales use microscopic changes in timing to convey different kinds of information. Jacob Andreas from MIT explains, "We discovered a 2-level combinatorial system similar to human language. The lower level consists of sounds forming words. The upper level is words combining into sentences. But the most astonishing findings relate to cultural differences. It turns out that different sperm whale clans, their family groups, use distinct dialects. These are not just different sets of codes, but different ways of performing them. The team found that clans whose territories overlap begin adopting elements of each other's pronunciation. This is the first evidence of social learning of language in marine mammals. The AI also learned to identify individual voice signatures of specific whales. Each animal has a unique handwriting in code pronunciation, small but consistent differences in timing and rhythm by which it can be recognized among hundreds of others. Imagine being able to distinguish the voice of a particular whale as easily as recognizing a friend's voice on the phone. Moreover, the system can track how a whale's pronunciation changes with age and what new elements it adopts from its family. The AI also discovered an astonishing feature in how young sperm whales learn. Calves don't just copy the sounds of adults, they experiment with codes, creating new combinations. Some of these juvenile inventions are picked up by other members of the group and become part of the local dialect. In essence, we are witnessing the evolution of language in real time. The language of sperm whales is alive and developing, just like human language. But what does all this mean? Scientists began matching sounds to whale behavior. Shane Giro identified several types of messages. There are socialization codes. Whales use them when meeting at the surface, exchanging greetings and information about their condition. There are coordination codes used by the family to organize joint hunting or movement in a particular direction. There are care codes. Mothers use them to communicate with calves. Especially intriguing are the codes whales use before deep-sea dives. The AI found there are many different dive codes, each with its own nuances. This means whales are not just saying, "I'm diving," but something more specific, "I'm going north to hunt squid," "I'm diving deep," "I'll be back in 2 hours." Analysis revealed something remarkable. When a whale emits a certain code before diving, it actually dives exactly where it said it would. This means the system can predict what a whale will do just by listening to its announcement. Even more astonishing were the cases of information being transmitted over long distances. Hydrophones recorded instances where a family of sperm whales off Dominica received a series of codes from relatives in other parts of the Caribbean, hundreds of kilometers away. Within hours of such long-distance conversations, the entire group changed direction or behavior as if they had received important information. In one case, a group abruptly altered course after a series of distant signals. Later, it turned out that the area they were initially heading to was the site of naval exercises using sonar. In other words, another group had warned them of possible danger. All this time, the team of scientists had been preparing for the main experiment. If we understand the structure of their language, can we not only listen but also speak? The first attempts at two-way communication began in 2023. The Whale SETI team off the coast of Alaska was studying humpback whales. Using an underwater speaker, they played a recorded contact signal of a humpback whale. The response was immediate and astonishing. A humpback female named Twain swam up to the boat and began circling it, replying to every signal played. The dialogue went on for 20 minutes, a genuine exchange of phrases between a human and a whale. Twain precisely copied the intervals between signals, following the rules of conversation. This discovery amazed the entire Project SETI team. In the same year, 2023, they conducted their own experiments off the coast of Dominica. A diver with an underwater speaker played one of the studied sperm whale codes. A whale nearby responded with a similar code. Another exchange of signals followed. It was a modest but historic moment, the first attempt to communicate with a sperm whale in its own language. In 2024, the team carried out a series of more complex experiments. AI analyzed the whale's responses in real time and suggested appropriate codes for the researchers to continue the conversation. Some dialogues lasted up to half an hour. The whales began to behave strangely. They started using sounds they had never made around humans before, apparently, to discuss these strange two-legged speaking creatures among themselves. Sometimes other whales from the family joined in, turning it into full group discussions. David Gruber describes the team's emotions. It was like receiving the first radio signal from an extraterrestrial civilization, only the aliens turned out to be here on Earth, living alongside us for millions of years. But what exactly happens during these conversations? The team still cannot fully explain the content of the exchanges, but the behavior of the ocean giants gives us some clues. Whales often use greeting codes at the start of contact, then move on to more complex sequences that may mean questions like, "Who are you?" or "What are you doing in our waters?" The reaction of young sperm whales is especially intriguing. Calves often swim closer to the sound source, showing curiosity toward the unusual humans speaking their language. The team also noticed that whales began to change their behavior in the presence of researchers. Some families of ocean giants started spending more time at the surface when Project CD boats were nearby, as if waiting for the conversation to continue. These observations have raised serious ethical questions for scientists. Do we have the right to interfere in the communication of another intelligent species? Project CD is working with the MOTH program at New York University, studying the legal and ethical aspects of interspecies communication. If we prove that whales have a complex language and culture, will their legal status change as a result? All Project CD experiments are carried out with the utmost caution. The team's principle: even if an experiment fails, it must not harm the whales. If an animal shows no interest in contact, the scientists do not insist. Nevertheless, the prospects are breathtaking. Prototypes of devices for translating whale speech in real time are already being developed. Imagine a diver with a mask where subtitles appear. The sperm whale says, "Be careful, there are predators here." The implications of Project CD's work go far beyond marine biology. The methods developed to decode the sperm whale language are already being applied to study other species. Thanks to this project, in 10 years we may be able to communicate not only with whales but with most of the planet's highly intelligent animals. But the most intriguing prospect is linked to the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. David Gruber repeatedly emphasizes, "If tomorrow we receive a signal from space, we will use exactly the same algorithms that we use for whales today. Finding patterns in incomprehensible signals, identifying what repeats again and again, guessing what it might mean, this is how any unknown language is decoded, whether earthly or alien." The whales have become our training ground before meeting cosmic intelligence. In 2024, the Project CT team launched a self-learning system of robotic gliders. The AI independently decides when and where to conduct observations, analyzing whale behavior, weather conditions, and ocean currents. The system operates around the clock, using satellite data to track the movement of whale families across the entire Caribbean Sea. The results exceeded expectations. The quality and volume of collected data tripled. In 2024 alone, the system recorded over 1 million new codes, including previously unknown communication patterns. One of the most striking discoveries concerns the intergenerational transfer of knowledge. The AI found that older females, the family matriarchs, use special teaching codes when interacting with younger whales. These sounds are characterized by a slow pace and multiple repetitions, as if grandmothers are patiently explaining important life lessons to their grandchildren. Analysis showed that young whales who received such training displayed more complex communication skills and better hunting abilities. In essence, we are witnessing an education system among marine mammals. Even more astonishing was the sperm whale's ability for abstract thinking. In several cases, whales used new combinations of known codes to describe previously unencountered situations. For example, when an unfamiliar technical object appeared in the water, the family created a unique sequence of sounds by combining the codes for unknown and danger. The team also noticed that whales, like humans, enjoy discussing past events. It turned out that some sounds are more often produced several hours after important events, such as meetings with other families, successful hunts, or encounters with humans. This means sperm whales do not just react to current events, they analyze past experiences, share memories, and plan future actions. This brings their intelligence closer to that of humans in terms of complexity. Project CTI also discovered how climate change is affecting whale communication. Due to ocean warming and water pollution, sound now travels differently. The whales noticed this and began speaking louder, as well as slightly modifying their codes to suit the new conditions. The team observed that whales produce special sounds when they see ships. It turned out they are telling each other the size of the vessel, where it is going, and how fast it is moving. In effect, they have their own alert system for our maritime traffic. Scientists are convinced that sperm whales have been observing human activity as closely as we have been studying them. It is possible they have their own theories about human behavior, their own names for our ships and technologies. Project CD's plans for 2025-2026 include creating the first two-way translator for full communication with whales. The system will not only recognize codes but also generate them according to the rules of the whale's language. Imagine the moment when a person first asks a sperm whale a complex question and receives a meaningful answer. What will we ask? About their life in the ocean, how they perceive the world, their opinion of humans, and perhaps even more importantly, what questions will they ask us? What will these ancient ocean dwellers want to know about a young species that, in just a few centuries, has so heavily polluted and nearly destroyed their home? Perhaps the most important change is happening in how we perceive ourselves. For centuries, we considered intelligence to be a uniquely human trait. Now we know we share the planet with other thinking beings who have their own language, culture, traditions, and history. Sperm whales have been passing down knowledge from generation to generation for tens of millions of years. Their cultural traditions are far older than human civilization. They have a history we are only beginning to learn, and it seems they know things about our world that we do not. Roger Payne, who introduced the world to the songs of whales and passed away in 2023, left the project his final words. 50 years ago, people fell in love with the songs of humpback whales and came together to ignite a global conservation movement. It is time to listen to the whales again, and this time to do so with all the empathy and ingenuity we can muster so that we may understand them. We stand on the threshold of a new era. For the first time in human history, we can hear the voice of another intelligent species and answer it. But are we ready for a conversation that could forever change our understanding of intelligence, consciousness, and our place in the universe?